So when people think of the greatest game of the all time, a few major titles may come to your mind, like The Legend of Zelda, The Witcher 3, Tetris and many others. Populate countless lists that have been compiled by magazines and journalists over the years, each meant to represent the very best of what gaming medium has to offer. For many gamers, however, the idea of nominating an overlooked third-person title that also happened to be a commercial failure upon 2003 release might not be their first course of action. But for those who have played it, 2003's Beyond Good and Evil truly was one of the best games of its generation.
If nothing is done, the entire population will be destroyed.
And I loved that game too. Despite not receiving the credit it deserved until well after its release, Beyond Good and Evil has since become a cult classic, a game that many look back on with fondness and respect. 4 years after Beyond Good and Evil's release, rumors began to surface that a sequel was in development and excitement began to grow. In the 20 years since its release, Beyond Good and Evil still has not received a sequel. The term developmental hell is used in the industry to describe a special type of misfortune that befalls game when they are being developed. As the term would imply, development hell is often used to describe games that undergo incredibly difficult and complicated development cycles that ultimately impact the release of the game. Sometimes this can be attributed to mismanagement, poor scheduling, poor early reception of developer builds, or internal conflicts between developers and publishers. The reason can be numerous and often awful, but the worst thing about a game becoming caught up in the developmental hell is that its release often reflects the struggles that plagued it. One of the most infamous cases of this is 2011's Duke Nukem Forever.
Hell, I'd still hit it.
A game that became synonymous with the term, and upon release was lambasted relentlessly for its outdated and subpar design. Beyond Good and Evil 2, as terrible as it has to state this, is in a developmental hell, a situation that may be too dire to rectify. On paper, the first Beyond Good and Evil fit the gaming mold of 2003 perfectly. Beyond Good and Evil was a pseudo open-world adventure title that mixed on foot and vertical exploration with the third-person action platforming. When not exploring the worlds of failures, players can take these sprawling cities, shady underground caves, and maniac factories as they dive deeper and deeper into the game's narrative. Core gameplay mechanics involve third-person weapon-based combat and the unique action and addition of taking photographs throughout the game. As Jade, a photojournalist turned resistant fighter, players would unearth a plot involving military dictatorships, human trafficking, and alien conspiracies. Beyond Good and Evil nailed the ball out of the park on every front, as it's not only excellently written and directed, but also boasted gorgeous visuals, a wonderful score, and a deeply engaging gameplay. The only problem with Beyond Good and Evil was that it had the misfortune of releasing in 2003, the same year that The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker, Jak and Daxter 2, Ratchet Clank 2 all released as well. Those titles not only dominated the AAA market, but also helped redefine the action-adventure genre, with Beyond Good and Evil getting lost in the mix. Regardless of its similarities to more famous and more popular titles, what makes Beyond Good and Evil such a good game is its overall quality. Within the past 3 console generations, video games have been more and more akin to major Hollywood productions. From acting performances to cinematics and visual presentations, video games today are entertainment tour de forces, experiences that stay with the players long after the credits screen has finished scrolling. Beyond Good and Evil, despite having its released in 2003, still stands as a superb game. The voice acting is good, the story is tense and fraught with suspense, and the visual still holds up today. Many AAA titles from its era have been long since forgotten, or worse, or even aged poorly. For those that played Beyond Good and Evil, the prospect of continuing Jade's story would be fantastic. Unfortunately, it might not be worth anyone's time at this point. Now, if we talk about Beyond Good and Evil 2, it was first mentioned in 2007 when Nintendo Power interviewed the series director and creator of the Rayman series, Michael Ankel. Ankel stated that he was working on an undisclosed project that he hoped he would be able to working with Jade as a character. In 2008, Ubisoft released the trailer during their Ubi Days event that showed characters and assets from Beyond Good and Evil. Then in 2009, a second possibly leaked trailer was released that showed Jade running through the city street. With Beyond Good and Evil 2 officially announced, fans become excited to see Jade return and have the story from the first game together. This excitement slowly dried up as no new information on Beyond Good and Evil 2 would be announced for 7 years. What fans did receive in the interim were various reports and statements from both Ubisoft and Ankel, often contradicting each other. In regard to the status of the game, in 2016, Ankel made an official statement that Beyond Good and Evil 2 has been put on the back burner so that Rayman Legends could be developed. Expectations for Beyond Good and Evil 2 were mixed. The meager footages fans had received was vague and seemed to suggest that the game was to be a sequel. To add to the confusion, at E3 2017, Ubisoft revealed another trailer that confirmed that Beyond Good and Evil 2 was to be a prequel to the first game, in a giant shakeup of gameplay direction. Beyond Good and Evil 2 was announced to be a massive star-sailing open-world adventure, a wild departure from the more restrained and nuanced direction of the first title. To make matters worse, Ankel left Ubisoft in 2020. With the series' primary director having left, Ubisoft still assured fans in 2022 that Beyond Good and Evil 2 was undergoing smooth development, but didn't release any further information than that. In July 2023, the creative director of Beyond Good and Evil 2, Muriel, suffered an unexpected death. To make the entire endeavor even more depressing is that as of 2022, Beyond Good and Evil 2 officially became the new world holder for a video game, having spent the longest time in development, a position once held by Duke Nukem forever. But the real question is, can Beyond Good and Evil 2 deliver a promise 20 years in the making? The challenges that Beyond Good and Evil 2 faces are immense. To begin with, it will be a prequel to the game that came out over 20 years ago. For a sense of reference, had the first Beyond Good and Evil experience the same development issues as its follow-up, it would have been a game that would have succeeded a game from 1983. Convincingly, on the Colosseum vision, the game industry has evolved and changed completely since 2003. Beyond Good and Evil 2 finds itself in a highly undesirable position that Duke Nukem forever found itself. Gaming trends, conventions, and expectations are not what they were in 2009 or even in 2017. To succeed, Beyond Good and Evil 2 must not only deliver an experience that caters to and rewards long-time fans of the first game, but must also appeal to and pique the interest of newcomer gamers as well. With open-world games such as Witcher 3, Red Dead Redemption 2, and The Legend of Zelda pushing the genre into cutting-edge territory, Beyond Good and Evil 2 has to be massive shoes to fill if it wishes to stand out in today's market. But it still can be a good game. It can still be an amazing game, and it can come out and remind people of why the first title has been so well received, acting not only as a worthy successor but also a fantastic game in its own right. The odds against Beyond Good and Evil 2 are chilling to behold, but stranger things have happened in the gaming industry. Regardless of how and when it comes out, it will be exciting to explore the universe of Beyond Good and Evil that Ansel created all those years ago. Finally, at the scope and depth it deserves, no one wants their game to fail. No one enjoys seeing the hard work of hundreds of people go up in flames. Beyond Good and Evil 2 deserves to be a great game, and it deserves to prove naysayers wrong. But after 20 years of waiting and probably more to come, it has some big promises to keep and many miles to go before it can lay to the sleep. But what do you guys think? What are the things that you expect from this game? And are you excited for this game? Do comment down below. And also subscribe our channel for more gaming content, and I will see you in the next one.